The silent vigil. The darkness of space stirred, fracturing into cascades of light as the Dominion's warfleet emerged from subspace. This was not a peaceful arrival. Their colossal warships, built like jagged titans of war, loomed over the system's star like a silent threat. The fleet's flagship, Sovereign Wrath, cut through the void with ruthless precision, its surface shimmering with a metallic sheen that absorbed starlight. Commander Vraxer, a seasoned veteran of countless campaigns, stood at the observation deck, hands clasped behind his back, his eyes fixed on the shimmering orb below. Earth. Another primitive world, Vraxer muttered to himself, and another jewel for the Dominion. Around him, the bridge crew worked like clockwork, their movements synchronized and efficient. The holographic display projected Earth in vivid detail, spinning slowly as data poured in. Lieutenant Helka, a sharp-witted officer known for her meticulousness, stepped forward. Commander, scans confirm the presence of intelligent life. Population, approximately 8 billion. Technology level, pre-interstellar. No detectable defense grids or hyperspace capabilities, she reported. Vraxer smirked. They won't even see us coming. But something about the data made Helka pause. Sir, she added cautiously, their electromagnetic emissions are unusual. They have an extensive global network, but there's no sign of central control. It's as if their communication is decentralized, chaotic. Vraxer dismissed her concern with a wave. Chaos is weakness. Their disorganization will be their undoing. With a simple gesture, he signaled his communications officer. Send the standard ultimatum. Let them know the Dominion has arrived. The officer nodded, his voice cold and mechanical as he relayed the message across all known frequencies. It was a proclamation of dominance, a demand for surrender. To the Dominion, this was mere formality, a script they had followed for centuries, conquering worlds like children plucking flowers. But Earth did not respond as expected. The warning. For hours, the fleet orbited in silence, waiting for the planet's leaders to grovel at their feet. Instead, a single message returned, transmitted in crisp, flawless Dominion standard. It was short, calculated, and chilling. Leave now. This is your only warning. The bridge fell silent. Vraxer's smirk faltered for the first time. Interesting, he muttered, gesturing for the message to replay. The words echoed in the stillness, their clarity unnerving. There was no bluster, no bravado, just a statement of intent. Helka frowned. Sir, they've studied our language. Impressive, Vraxer admitted, but futile. He turned back to the holographic display. Deploy the Vanguard Division. Show them what happens to those who defy the Dominion. 3 sleek destroyers, the Iron Spear, Silent Ruin, and Blackfire, peeled away from the main fleet, descending toward Earth's atmosphere like predators closing in on prey. Their mission was simple: subdue the population, disable military installations, and force the surrender. The destroyers were equipped with weapons far beyond anything the primitive planet could comprehend, let alone counter. As they approached, the Dominion fleet intercepted a new transmission. It was not a plea for mercy, but a declaration of defiance. We warned you. Humanity has spent its history mastering the art of survival. We are not prey. Turn back while you still can. The ambush. The first indication that something was wrong came moments after the destroyers entered low orbit, what the Dominion had dismissed as space debris, a chaotic cloud of defunct satellites, broken stations, and abandoned equipment, suddenly activated. Hundreds of crude but deadly weapons sprang to life, their dormant systems reawakening as if guided by an unseen hand. The bridge of the Iron Spear erupted in chaos as alarms blared. Commander, the debris field is targeting us, a panicked officer shouted. Impossible, the ship's captain barked. But the impossible became reality as a wave of crude projectiles launched from the debris, detonating with violent precision. EMP blasts rippled through the destroyers, crippling their advanced systems. Shields designed to withstand plasma and laser weaponry faltered under the onslaught of low-tech explosives. Before the Dominion could react, Earth's response escalated. From hidden silos across the planet, thousands of missiles roared into the sky. But these were no ordinary warheads. As they ascended, the missiles fragmented, releasing thousands of tungsten rods. Simple metal projectiles accelerated to near-relativistic speeds. The rods struck the disabled destroyers with devastating force, tearing through their hulls like paper. The iron spear disintegrated in a blinding explosion. The silent ruin attempted to retreat, only to be struck by a second wave of projectiles. The Blackfire managed a desperate call for reinforcements before succumbing to the same fate. The aftermath. Back on the Sovereign Wrath, the bridge descended into stunned silence as the holographic feed displayed the wreckage of the Vanguard Division. Commander Vraxer's composure cracked. His fists clenched as he barked orders. Prepare the fleet for full-scale assault. These primitives will pay for their insolence. But as the crew scrambled to obey, a new transmission arrived. The same voice, calm and steady, delivered a chilling ultimatum. That was a demonstration. You have not yet seen the full extent of our capabilities. Leave now, or face consequences you cannot imagine. Vraxer stared at the hologram, his confidence shaken. The humans had used crude weapons, primitive by Dominion standards. Yet their ingenuity had turned those weapons into tools of destruction. They had outthought the Dominion's advanced technology, exploiting weaknesses no other species had dared to imagine. "Commander," Helka whispered, her voice trembling, "this is not a typical species. They fight differently." Vraxer's expression hardened. "Alert the High Command. Tell them Earth is not what we expected." As the Dominion fleet retreated to regroup, Earth was far from idle. Across the planet, leaders set aside their differences, activating hidden arsenals and rallying their people. The humans knew war was coming, and they prepared with the determination of a species forged in conflict. For the first time in its history, the Dominion faced an enemy that did not fear it, an enemy that had warned them, one final time, to run. Humanity's hidden arsenal. The Sovereign Wrath hovered in the darkness of space, a wounded predator contemplating its next move. Commander Vraxer paced the bridge, his earlier confidence eroded by the unexpected loss of 3 advanced destroyers. The bridge crew, usually composed and efficient, now worked in tense silence, their movements shadowed by uncertainty. "Commander," Lieutenant Helka began hesitantly, "the humans, they'd been preparing for this. Those weapons were not improvised. They were designed for a precise purpose." Vraxer scowled. "Purpose? Crude scraps and kinetic debris are not strategy. They are desperation." Helka shook her head. "No, Commander. They are strategy. A strategy built over centuries. Humans don't just fight wars. They evolve through them." Vraxer stopped pacing. "Then we will force their evolution to its limit." The second wave. Back on Earth, humanity was not celebrating their victory. They knew it had been a warning shot, one that bought time but guaranteed retaliation. Across the globe, governments enacted long-dormant contingency plans. Factories shifted from civilian production to military assembly lines. Hidden installations, once dismissed as conspiracy theories, roared to life. In the shadow of the Ends, a sprawling underground facility churned out a new generation of aerospace fighters. These were not the clunky, improvised craft used in the ambush, but sleek, adaptive war machines designed for flexibility and speed. Engineers worked tirelessly, integrating fragments of Dominion technology salvaged from the wreckage. In orbit, the Dominion prepared for their counterstrike. Vraxer deployed a larger contingent, this time led by 2 battlecruisers, the Shadow's Edge and the Iron Dominion. These ships carried legions of Dominion ground troops, biomechanical monstrosities bred for planetary invasions. "Let's see how long their primitive ingenuity lasts against true power," Vraxer sneered as the ships descended toward Earth. "The trap is sprung." As the battle cruisers entered Earth's atmosphere, the humans responded. But this time, there were no missile barrages or satellite traps. The planet's skies remained eerily silent. To the Dominion, this was interpreted as surrender, a final gasp of defiance extinguished. "Begin the ground invasion," ordered Captain Trellock aboard the Iron Dominion. Troop transports deployed from the cruisers, their metallic hulls reflecting Earth's sunlight as they descended toward key cities. But the humans had not gone silent. They had gone invisible. As the first transports touched down in the outskirts of New York, Shanghai, and Nairobi, they found barren streets. The sprawling urban landscapes appeared abandoned, devoid of life. Dominion forces advanced cautiously, their scanners sweeping for signs of resistance. Then, without warning, the skies ignited. From concealed bases in the mountains and beneath the oceans, humanity's Air Force launched. Dozens of prototype fighters streaked into the atmosphere. Their sleek designs a fusion of human engineering and the Dominion tech they had scavenged. These were not lumbering death machines, but agile hunters, equipped with adaptive shielding and advanced targeting systems. Caught off guard, the Dominion transports became sitting targets. Precision strikes disabled their engines, sending them plummeting back to the ground. The survivors who managed to land found themselves trapped in hostile territory, their every move monitored and countered. The underground resistance. Beneath the surface, another battle rage. In tunnels stretching for miles under the Earth's crust, human resistance cells coordinated attacks. The Dominion's biomechanical troops, fierce and relentless, met their match in humanity's guerrilla tactics. Soldiers armed with EMP rifles and explosive traps struck hard and vanished into the shadows. One such group, led by a seasoned commander named Ava Ramirez, operated from an underground base deep in the Sahara Desert. Ava, a former aerospace engineer, had become a symbol of humanity's resolve. Her team consisted of hackers, soldiers, and scientists, each a master in their field. As Dominion forces scoured the deserts for signs of resistance, Ava and her team infiltrated their ranks, disabling their tracking systems and rerouting supply chains. The Dominion, unaccustomed to such decentralized and unpredictable warfare, struggled to adapt. Ava's voice crackled through a secure communication channel. "We're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting to show them we're not prey. Humanity has teeth." The battle in orbit. While the ground forces engaged in hit-and-run tactics, the battle above Earth intensified. The Dominion's battle cruisers unleashed waves of drones, their black, insect-like forms swarming the human fighters. But the humans had anticipated this. From Earth's surface, an experimental railgun, the culmination of decades of secretive research, was fired. The weapon, hidden in a remote Arctic facility, accelerated a tungsten projectile to near-light speeds. The projectile struck the shadow's edge, piercing its hull and detonating its power core in a cataclysmic explosion. On the Sovereign Wrath, Vraxer watched the destruction unfold with a mixture of disbelief and rage. "How are they doing this?" he roared. "They're using tactics we've never encountered," Helka replied, her voice steady despite the chaos. "They adapt faster than any species we faced." Vraxer's expression darkened. "Then we must escalate. Prepare the orbital bombardment array. If they refuse to kneel, we'll reduce their planet to ash." Humanity's last stand. As Earth braced for the next wave of Dominion attacks, the global coalition made a bold decision. Instead of waiting for destruction to rain down upon them, they would take the fight to the Dominion. Using reverse-engineered Dominion technology, humanity launched their first interstellar strike force. The fleet was small, their ships experimental, but their mission was clear: to disable the Sovereign Wrath before it could obliterate Earth. Ava Ramirez, now aboard the human flagship Defiant, addressed the crew. "We've come farther than they ever expected. They thought we'd roll over. They thought we'd fear them. But fear is not in humanity's nature. We fight because we must. We fight because we can." The Defiant and its escorts emerged from Earth's orbit, plunging straight into the Dominion fleet. Though outnumbered and outgunned, the human ships moved with unmatched precision. They targeted weak points in the Dominion's formation, exploiting gaps that no machine could predict. For every human ship that fell, 2 Dominion vessels were disabled. The tide of the battle began to shift, and for the first time in the history of the Dominion, an enemy dared to push back. The turning point. As the Defiant closed in on the Sovereign Wrath, Ava and her team prepared for a desperate boarding mission. Their plan was audacious: infiltrate the Dominion flagship and disable its weapons systems from within. It was a gamble, one that would determine the fate of Earth. Back on the bridge of the Sovereign Wrath, Vraxar watched in mounting fury as his invincible fleet was torn apart. Helka's voice cut through the chaos. "Commander, we underestimated them. They're not just surviving, they're winning." Vraxar's eyes narrowed. "Then let's show them what true power looks like." But even as the Sovereign Wrath charged its devastating weapons, humanity's strike force was already in position. The final battle was about to begin. The Defiant's Gambit. The Defiant hurtled through the void, weaving between volleys of Dominion fire. Its hull, an amalgamation of Earth's rugged engineering and scavenged alien technology, shimmered as adaptive shielding absorbed the brunt of the attacks. Inside the ship's dimly lit command deck, the atmosphere was tense but electric. Humanity was doing the unthinkable. They were taking the fight to their oppressors. Ava Ramirez, clad in a tactical suit bristling with advanced tech, stood at the center of the command deck. Her sharp eyes scanned the tactical display, a chaotic swirl of red and blue representing the Dominion fleet and Earth's ragtag strike force. The Defiant was at the tip of the spear, leading the charge directly toward the Dominion flagship, Sovereign Wrath. "Status report," Ava barked, her voice cutting through the tense hum of the ship. Lieutenant Samir Patel, the ship's lead tactical officer, responded without hesitation. "Shields at 60% and holding. Railgun is charging for another shot. We've lost the Resolute and Ironclad, but the Dominion battle line is breaking." Ava nodded grimly. Every loss stung, but there was no time to mourn. Keep the pressure on. Reluctantly, Ava led the rest of the team deeper into the ship, leaving Ortega and his squad behind. The corridors narrowed, forcing them into single file. Every step was a gamble, every turn a potential ambush. The heart of the enemy. After what felt like an eternity, Ava's team reached the control center. The room was massive, dominated by a holographic display of Earth and its surrounding space. At the center of it all stood an imposing figure, Commander Vraxar. "So," Vraxar sneered, his voice dripping with contempt, "the primitives dare to invade my ship. You've overstepped, humans." Ava leveled her weapon at him. "You're not invincible, Vraxar. Your fleet is falling apart, and your ship is next." Vraxar's laughter echoed through the chamber. "Foolish, you've merely delayed the inevitable." Without warning, Vraxar lunged, moving with unnatural speed. His biomechanical enhancements made him a formidable opponent, and Ava barely managed to dodge his first strike. The room erupted into chaos as her team engaged the Dominion commander and his guards. The fight was brutal. Ava used every ounce of her training, her movements precise and calculated. Her team fought valiantly, but one by one, they fell. By the time Vraxar lay dead, Ava was the last human standing. The final act. Wounded but determined, Ava approached the ship's control console. Blood trickled down her face as she worked quickly, overriding Dominion protocols with the stolen codes they had risked so much to acquire. She activated the ship's self-destruct sequence, ensuring the Sovereign Wrath would never rain destruction upon Earth. As alarms blared and the countdown began, Ava keyed her communicator. "Defiant, this is Ramirez. Mission accomplished." "The Sovereign Wrath is done." Captain Patel's voice crackled through the static. "We're ready for extraction, Commander." Ava smiled faintly. "No time. Just make sure Earth remembers what we did here." The line went dead. The dawn of resistance. From the Defiant, the crew watched as the Sovereign Wrath erupted in a brilliant explosion, its pieces scattering into the void. The remaining Dominion fleet, leaderless and disorganized, began to retreat. For the first time in recorded history, the Dominion had been defeated. Back on Earth, the victory was met with both relief and determination. Ava's sacrifice became a rallying cry, a symbol of humanity's indomitable spirit. Factories continued to churn, alliances grew stronger, and Earth prepared for the inevitable return of the Dominion. Humanity had proven it could fight. Now, it was time to prepare for the war to come. The Dominion strikes back. In the cold vacuum of space, the remnants of the Dominion fleet limped away from Earth's orbit. Aboard one of the few surviving cruisers, Eclipse's Edge, Admiral Crozar surveyed the tactical readout with a grim expression. The defeat of the Sovereign Wrath and the loss of its commander, Vraxor, had sent shockwaves through the Dominion hierarchy. But Crozar, a seasoned tactician and one of the Empire's most ruthless leaders, saw the battle not as a defeat, but as a recalibration. Earth is not an anomaly, Crozar growled, his voice echoing through the bridge. It is an infestation, a chaotic species that must be eradicated, not subdued. Around him, the bridge crew worked with a renewed sense of urgency. Data from the battle was being analyzed, tactical errors dissected, and strategies revised. Crozar had no intention of repeating Vraxor's mistakes. He knew humanity's strength lay not in its technology but in its unpredictable nature. If they could not be outgunned, they would have to be outmaneuvered. Earth unites. Back on Earth, humanity's temporary reprieve had only galvanized its resolve. Leaders from every nation convened at the United Global Command, a sprawling complex hidden beneath the Antarctic ice. This was not a meeting of politicians but a council of war. Scientists, engineers, military strategists, and even historians came together, pooling their knowledge to prepare for the next wave of Dominion aggression. At the center of the room, a holographic projection displayed the solar system, with Earth at its heart. Commander Elena Drayton, a no-nonsense strategist who had been instrumental in organizing Earth's defenses, addressed the assembly. "We've won a battle," she began, her voice steady but resolute. "But make no mistake, the Dominion will return. They'll be smarter, stronger, and more determined to crush us. We need to think beyond defense. We need to take the fight to them." Her words sparked a flurry of debate. Some argued for fortifying Earth and its immediate surroundings, while others advocated for an aggressive campaign to disrupt Dominion operations before they could regroup. Ultimately, it was agreed. Earth's survival depended on innovation, unity, and the element of surprise. Project Prometheus. In a hidden facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, a team of the brightest minds worked tirelessly on a top-secret initiative. Project Prometheus. At its core was a revolutionary idea: to create a fleet of warships capable of not just defending Earth, but launching deep strikes into Dominion territory. Dr. Annika Sharma, a brilliant astrophysicist, led the project. Standing before a massive holographic blueprint, she addressed her team. "We've reverse-engineered enough Dominion technology to make a quantum leap in our own designs," she explained. "But we're not just copying them. We're making something new, something uniquely human." The Prometheus prototype was a marvel of engineering. It combined advanced Dominion, shielding with Earth's resourceful weaponry, railguns, plasma lances, and a newly developed weapon, the Singularity Cannon. This experimental device could create micro-black holes, capable of tearing through even the Dominion's toughest armor. As construction of the Prometheus neared completion, so too did Earth's first interstellar fleet. These ships were smaller and fewer in number than the Dominion's massive armadas, but they were faster, stealthier, and designed for guerrilla warfare in the depths of space. The return of the Dominion. 3 months later, the Dominion returned, and this time, they brought overwhelming force. Crozar's fleet, bolstered by reinforcements from neighboring systems, emerged from subspace like an unending tide of destruction. Unlike Fraxur, Crozar made no dramatic proclamations. Instead, his ships began systematically dismantling Earth's orbital defenses. The battle began in earnest as Earth's new fleet, spearheaded by the Prometheus, launched to meet the invaders. Commander Drayton, now aboard the Prometheus, coordinated the attack. Her orders were sharp and decisive, and her crew carried them out with unflinching determination. "Target their command ships," Drayton ordered. "Cut off the head, and the body will falter." The Prometheus moved like a phantom, its adaptive stealth systems allowing it to slip past Dominion scanners. As the rest of Earth's fleet engaged the Dominion head-on, the Prometheus infiltrated the heart of Crozar's formation. The Battle of Europa. The fight spilled into the orbit of Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Using Europa's icy surface as cover, Earth's forces launched hit-and-run attacks, exploiting the Dominion's slower, more cumbersome ships. The battle was chaotic, with ships exchanging fire in a deadly ballet of light and shadow. Aboard the Prometheus, Drayton kept her focus sharp. "Bring the singularity cannon online," she commanded. Her crew hesitated. The weapon was untested in combat, and its risks were immense, but they trusted their commander. The cannon fired, unleashing a swirling vortex of energy that tore through a Dominion dreadnought. The destruction was absolute, the dreadnought collapsing into itself before disappearing into nothingness. The crew erupted in cheers, but Drayton silenced them with a sharp gesture. "This isn't over. Focus." Crozar's counterattack. Admiral Crozar watched the destruction of his dreadnought with a mixture of rage and admiration. "Impressive," he muttered, "but they've shown their hand." He ordered his fleet to recalibrate their targeting systems, adapting to the Prometheus's stealth technology. The Dominion ships began deploying swarms of seeker drones, programmed to hunt even the faintest energy signatures. One by one, Earth's ships were forced out of hiding. On the Prometheus, alarms blared as the ship was surrounded. Drayton refused to panic. "Activate the magnetic pulse array. Disable those drones." The ship emitted a powerful electromagnetic pulse, frying the drone circuits and clearing a path. But the Prometheus was not unscathed. Its shields flickered, and damage reports flooded in. Humanity's spirit. Despite the mounting losses, humanity refused to yield. Ground forces on Earth launched coordinated strikes against Dominion landing parties, while resistance cells disrupted supply lines. Across the solar system, human ingenuity shone through. On Mars, engineers redirected mining lasers to cripple Dominion transports. On the Moon, defense cannons fired relentless barrages at incoming ships. As the Prometheus prepared for a final push, Drayton addressed her crew. "We've faced impossible odds before, and we've come through stronger. This is no different. Remember what we're fighting for. Not just survival, but a future free from fear." The Prometheus charged its remaining weapons and launched a desperate assault on Crozar's flagship, the Eclipse's Edge. The battle raged, each side giving everything they had. In the end, humanity's resilience tipped the scales. The aftermath. The destruction of the Eclipse's Edge sent shockwaves through the Dominion fleet. Leaderless and demoralized, the remaining ships retreated into subspace. For the second time, Earth had triumphed against overwhelming odds. But the victory was bittersweet. Many lives had been lost, and Earth's defenses were severely weakened. Yet, in the face of adversity, humanity had proven once again that they were not just survivors, they were warriors. As the Prometheus returned to Earth, battered but victorious, Drayton gazed out at the stars. "They'll be back," she murmured, "but so will we. Stronger, smarter, and ready for whatever comes next." The fight for Earth was far from over, but humanity had learned a vital lesson. They were no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting for their place among the stars, shadows in the void. In the aftermath of the Dominion's retreat, the solar system lay scared but defiant. Ships drifted through fields of debris, recovering what they could. On Earth, factories roared back to life, and the skies were alive with the activity of rebuilding fleets and fortifying defenses. Yet for all the determination, the lingering unease gripped humanity. The Dominion was not defeated. They were regrouping. Deep within the United Global Command's headquarters, Commander Elena Drayton studied a tactical map of the galaxy. It glowed with markers of known Dominion strongholds and unexplored sectors. The silence following the Dominion's withdrawal felt ominous, as though the enemy was poised to strike from the shadows. Drayton tapped a command into the console, highlighting a distant star system marked as Epsilon K-47. Intelligence suggested it housed a critical Dominion supply hub, hidden in the heart of a nebula. It was a perfect target, both strategic and symbolic. The strike force. At the Arctic base, the newly formed Shadow Squadron prepared for a mission unlike any humanity had undertaken. Comprised of the most skilled pilots, soldiers, and engineers, the squadron represented the cutting edge of Earth's military ingenuity. Their flagship, Intrepid Horizon, was a marvel of stealth technology, a ghost in the void. Captain Marcus Haynes, a former fighter pilot with a reputation for unorthodox tactics, led the squadron. Known for his calm demeanor and quick thinking, he addressed his team with confidence. "This mission isn't just about striking a blow against the Dominion," Haynes began, his voice steady but firm. "It's about proving we're more than a planet defending itself. We're a species that can take the fight to the enemy. That starts now." The briefing outlined the plan. Infiltrate the Epsilon K-47 system, disable the Dominion supply lines, and escape before reinforcements arrived. It was a high-risk operation, but one with the potential to cripple the Dominion's next assault. Journey through the nebula. The Intrepid Horizon and its escort fleet slipped into subspace, their journey taking them into the heart of the Veil Nebula. The nebula's dense clouds of ionized gas created a natural interference field, masking the fleet's approach, but also hampering their own navigation systems. It was a double-edged sword, and every crew member knew it. On the bridge of the Intrepid Horizon, Haynes monitored the swirling void outside. "Keep the sensors tight," he ordered. "If we can't see them, they can't see us." The tension aboard the ship was palpable. Engineers worked tirelessly to maintain the stealth systems, while the soldiers prepared for a potential boarding action. Despite the danger, there was a sense of determination, a belief that this mission was a turning point. As the fleet neared their target, they encountered an unexpected challenge. A network of Dominion sentry drones, hidden within the nebula's densest regions. The drones emitted faint signals, creating a web of detection that threatened to expose the human ships. Haynes leaned over to his tactical officer, Lieutenant Marilyn. "Suggestions?" "Decoys," Lynn replied without hesitation. "We've got a few older drones retrofitted with stealth-breaking emitters. We send them ahead and make the Dominion think we're attacking from a different angle." Haynes nodded. "Do it." The decoys launched, their emitters creating false signatures that drew the sentry drones away. The fleet slipped through the gap, their presence undetected. The assault on Epsilon K-47. The Dominion supply hub came into view, a sprawling complex of massive docking stations and resource depots orbiting a pale dead world. Dozens of Dominion ships patrolled the area, but they were not expecting an attack. Haynes gave the order. "All ships, prepare for engagement. Hit them hard and fast. Take out their power grid first." The fleet emerged from the nebula, their weapons blazing. The Dominion ships scrambled to respond, but the humans had the element of surprise. Railguns and plasma lances tore through the supply hub's defenses, disabling key stations and cutting off energy to the docked ships. On the surface of the dead world, Dominion ground forces mobilized, but they were met with a devastating orbital bombardment. Precision strikes from the Intrepid Horizon obliterated critical infrastructure, leaving the Dominion's forces disorganized and vulnerable. The counterattack. As the human fleet wreaked havoc on the supply hub, Dominion reinforcements began to arrive. Crosar, now commanding a newly assembled battle fleet, had anticipated an attack on Epsilon K-47. His ships dropped out of subspace in perfect formation, their weapons already charged. Haynes saw the incoming fleet on the tactical display and cursed under his breath. They were waiting for us. The Dominion ships launched a coordinated counterattack, their firepower dwarfing that of the human fleet. The intrepid Horizon and its escorts fought valiantly, using the debris and chaos of the battle to outmaneuver their larger foes. But the odds were overwhelming. On the bridge, Lynn shouted, "We've got incoming on all vectors. They're boxing us in." Haynes gritted his teeth. "Not if we break their formation, target their flagship, take out their command structure, and the rest will falter." Humanity's resolve. The intrepid Horizon pushed through the Dominion line, its shields flickering under the relentless assault. As it closed in on the Dominion flagship, Haynes ordered the deployment of a new weapon, the quantum disruptor, an experimental device capable of creating localized energy voids. The disruptor fired, its effect immediate. A field of shimmering distortion enveloped the Dominion flagship, rendering its systems inert. The human fleet seized the opportunity, focusing their fire on the now helpless command ship. With the Dominion flagship destroyed, the remaining enemy ships faltered. Some retreated into subspace, while others were picked off by the human fleet. The supply hub was in ruins, its resources scattered across the dead planet. The aftermath. The battle for Epsilon K-47 was a resounding success, but it came at a cost. Several human ships were lost, and the survivors were battered and weary. Yet, as the fleet regrouped and prepared for the journey home, there was a sense of triumph. Haynes addressed his crew. "We just sent a message to the Dominion. We're not just defending our home. We're taking the fight to them. And we're not stopping here." Back on Earth, the news of the victory spread like wildfire. It wasn't just a military triumph. It was a symbol of humanity's unyielding spirit. The Dominion had underestimated them again, and Earth was determined to ensure they never made that mistake a third time. The war was far from over, but for the first time, humanity wasn't just surviving. They were winning.